Welcome to the Hearts Entwined podcast. In this podcast, we'll be having discussions around the secrets which attract lasting, healthy, fulfilling relationships, creating a healthy mindset, and what women should know and understand about men. Introducing your host, Lyn Smith, the Queen of Hearts, relationship expert, trainer, speaker, and best-selling author of the Cupid's Bow technique. Lyn's mission is to have a positive impact in reducing divorce, domestic violence, and suicide.
Welcome to the Hearts Entwined podcast. This is your host, Lyn Smith, the Queen of Hearts. And today, listeners, I'm very lucky to have a wonderful lady. Her name is Natalie Kabenjian. I hope I pronounced that almost right for you there, Natalie. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello.
Tell me, I love the title of who you are and what you do, Pleasure Magician Coach. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Being a pleasure magician, yes. So what I do is I help humans reconnect to their source, which is their body, so their sensuality and their erotic energy. And then through that reconnection, it empowers them to live, love, and lead their lives from a space of radical, authentic aliveness, as I like to say. So that's what I do.
And do you know what? Just having a conversation a little bit with you off air, I can feel your happy energy, and you actually embody that pleasure, which I'm happy to say is great, because I do meet some coaches that, don't really live up to their titles, such as sometimes I meet coaches that are happiness coaches and they look the most miserable people I've ever met.
Oh, dang. Yeah. I mean, we're all here playing this human game, it's like we're all dancing that dance. But yeah, pleasure for me. Yes. Like I love to hear that you feel that I've embodied it, because it's been quite a journey, to get to that space of like really feeling like, first of all, just what pleasure is for me. Like, what does that, because there's so many misconceptions about what pleasure is. And I was guilty of those things where I felt like I needed to look a certain way. I needed to act a certain way in order to be someone who can talk about pleasure. I needed to have certain things in order. It was almost like a luxury that you could have, later on. Right. And so for me to really tap into like, well, how am I uniquely wired, right, to experience pleasure? And also just my definition of pleasure and my experience of it is really just acceptance of what is here now. It's almost like when you tune into the energetics of pleasure, like what happens in the body is like you experience emotion, right? And an emotion comes up, you feel the physical sensations, and then you bring it in. So it's almost like a melting that happens. So I like to say that pleasure is a melting into each moment that arises.
I love that, Natalie, and I'm so on board with it. So we're going to be talking today about pole and pleasure, but before we actually get into some nitty-gritty details, would you tell the audience a little bit about yourself and what's led you to be doing what you're doing now?
So what led me was actually pole. So pole dance. That was the start of it all. And even before then though, so I've been an artist all my life. Ever since I was a kid, I was always the weird, freaky one, who's just quite intense in terms of how deeply they were feeling. And how they were perceiving the world around them. So I've always had that curiosity about the body and energy and how it affects the body and how the body moves, and like watching other people's bodies and like where they were tense, where they were more open. And then when they were open, like what other parts of the body started lighting up. So I was always observing that. I was an actor for quite a bit. People said I was really good at it. So I was like, yes, please, people are going to love me. So this is the space that I can feel safe to be in my intensity, to like explore all those places within me that people were shaming me for. But on stage, I was getting so celebrated for it. So maybe this is the thing. Acting is the thing. And so I go and I do the whole actor's journey, but really like the body was always the thing that was pulling me, movement, dance. And somehow, some way, one of my acting teachers recommended me to this studio, this movement studio, did not tell me it was pole. And I walk into the studio, I see the poles. It still didn't register to me that I was meant to be going on these things. and so during the class, my teacher was like, okay, we're going to learn our first spin. And I was like, oh gosh, this is real. Like, I'm actually meant to go on this thing. And so I tell my teacher, listen, like, I'm willing to try it, but I have no upper body strength. So I don't expect much from me. She's like, okay, fine. And so we did our first spin, the fire spin or the fireman spin. And it was love. It was love at first spin for me. Something happened, like the minute I touched this cold steel apparatus, it was like this wave of energy just shot down from the crown of my head all the way down my spine, past my tailbone. And then the word impact just came through. And I was like, I have never felt anything like this. Like, what is this connection? What is happening? Like, it just felt so alive. So that was the beginning of this piece of like aliveness, right? Like, that's what I'm really all about. And then I just couldn't stop. Like, just every time I was connecting with this instrument and learning these different skills, it was really opening up my sensuality. It was opening up just my authentic expression in ways that I never even dared, to claim within myself. So it was just a really great way for me to connect to these parts of me that I had suppressed, that I had disassociated from. And it really, like, I started training myself in terms of how to listen to my body and like be really present in my skin. And then the more presence I started cultivating just by being in my skin, that's where the pleasure piece started coming in, of just like, oh my God, like there's turn on here. There's arousal here. And then from that space, I was initiated into the erotic blueprints. So that was when one of my first mentors at that space, Jaya, she's the creator of the erotic blueprints. I was invited to train and to become one of the coaches practicing this modality. And there was so much resistance in the beginning. It was like I'm not this person, who am I to lead people in pleasure and sexual intimacy and all that? But I was like, I feel like I've always been that person though, that's been so in tune with no, let me go back. It's more of the energy piece. So the beautiful thing about the erotic blueprints is that it's there's 5 pathways to turn on an arousal. And one of the major pathways is through energy. It's energy play. And I did not know that was an option in terms of like really like that is how you can get arousal. That is how you can feel pleasure. And so it helped to have that languaging. And so yeah, that was the beginning of many beginnings, to where I am now.
Well, now that you've mentioned just 5 pathways, I'm curious to know what the others are.
I know, yes. we can definitely talk about the pathways. So like there's 5. So one of them is the energetic. So this is a human, this is a body who really thrives on energy. So you don't necessarily need to have physical touch in order to experience arousal. There's a lot of space, there's a lot of anticipation, there's a lot of tease, and very sensitive, like hypersensitive beings typically associate with this particular pathway. And then we have the sensual. So the sensual, it's more about the 5 senses, right? Like that is how you can create artistry, right, in your sexual turn on. And then there's the sexual, which is, this is what we have grown up with in terms of like, this is what it is, right, to be in turn on. This is what sex is, right? It's all about the genitals. It's all about nudity. It's all about just like getting to the climax, the orgasm. It's all about that. And then we have the kinky. So the kinky is about anything that's taboo, really. So that it's such a smorgasbord of exploration, because it can range anywhere from just spanking to BDSM to psychological kink, right? Like, so there's such a wide spectrum when it comes to kink, because it's really relative to what is taboo for you and your body. And then there's the shapeshifter. And so the shapeshifter, my mentor calls it the Stradivarius of all the blueprints. So the shapeshifter is the mastery of all the other blueprints. Like, it's just, I feel that all of us have this inherently. We're all shapeshifters. We've just forgotten. And so those other pathways are just guides to help us come back to that space of, we can have it all. Like, we can experience it all. It's not too much.
I agree. The thing is that pleasure can, like you say, be a different definition for each and every one of us. But, it doesn't have to be anything, as long as it's not harmful to others or the planet, then, there shouldn't be any taboos, should there really?
Yeah, I mean, that's where the acceptance piece comes in, right? It's like, pleasure is just accepting what's here. So yeah, like, if what is here right now is like, one example would just be like, I'm going more into like existential kink territory. So it's like, I really love the idea of being broke and rejected. And so typically when we're walking around, that's not an acceptable space, right? Or at least that's what we tell ourselves, right? And so, but there's a turn on there. There's a sensation there, right? There's a pull there. So might as well, like, you know what? Like, I'm going to accept that. I'm going to accept that there's a part of me. It's not the whole truth of me, but there's a part of me that really gets off on being broke and being in debt and just being rejected. Like, yes, please. So it's really just like accepting that piece and daring to find that pleasure, because what you're doing is that this is alchemy, right? Like, you're transforming this thing that you feel is unacceptable about you into pleasure, into arousal. And then the spell is free at that point to rise all tides. I mean, to lift all boats, is that the term? The rising tide lifts all boats? Yes. Yeah.
It is. So interesting, because it's all about, like you say, pushing boundaries a little bit, pushing yourself outside your own personal comfort zone, but actually, obviously within the confines of it being consensual and you wanting to try that and not being forced on you.
Oh, yeah. So consent is a huge piece. And it's not only with partnership. I mean, there's consent with yourself as well, right? Like, for me, every day in my self-pleasure practice, and by the way, because I hear some people just hearing self-pleasure and then immediately going to masturbation. And I mean, that's one of the ways, right? But it's not the whole picture. Self-pleasure really is just holding and meeting yourself with what is arising for you. And really learning how to lead yourself through moments of discomfort and low energy or numbness or even joy and ecstasy, right? It's like really learning how to hold all those bits of you, really coming to wholeness. And so each practice is going to be different. Like, I can't do the same thing that I did yesterday because my body is in a different space. So my body may have really wanted physical touch yesterday, but right now it's like, no, I don't want that. So rather than just putting my hands on my body, right, and just like going and trying to replicate what happened yesterday, it's checking in. So many of us don't even check in with our own selves. Like, what do you need, body? Like, what would support you right now? So that's a huge piece, really, and what I help my clients with, especially when they're first starting in this play, is like really being present with themselves and what is it actually that you need right now, instead of making meaning, instead of trying to like, oh, this thing really worked, and so I need to bring that back. It's like, it's over. That moment is gone, right? It gave you information, amazing, but now this is a new moment.
Yeah. Right? And some of those new moments might be repeating what you found pleasure in before, but other moments might not.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what makes it so fun, though. It's like, it's a surprise. Every day it's like, ooh, like, okay, I know this. I experienced this. Great. But there's this new flavor that's wanting to come through. Do I dare follow that? And I love that you were saying like the pushing of the boundaries. And I personally, it's not so much about pushing for me. It's more like I like titration. like microdosing effect, where it's like, okay, like I don't need to like push my nervous system to the point of like complete overwhelm, right? Doing this new thing. But it's like you get to take your time and you really get to set your pace and rhythm, you know, and really like
into it.
yeah.
A little piece at a time, like you say, rather than, you know, okay, I'm going to jump off this cliff into the water.
Yeah.
You just start off by, you know, just jumping off a 2-foot platform.
Yeah, transformation gets to be gentle, you know, like it doesn't need to be this big, you know, like forced thing, you know.
No, I understand that. I even, you know, have took pleasure personally in you know, everyday moments, like if I'm washing up, you know, I just taking pleasure in feeling the suds and the bubbles.
Yeah. It's the simple things, right? Like the simple, mundane, quote unquote, things. But that's what, like, it's a compound effect that happens though, because the more of those simple, mundane things you invite, right, into really feeling the sensation fully and completely as you can, it compounds, and then it eventually starts shifting your external reality, right? And this is where we can get into like whole manifestation, sex magic, all that stuff, but like that's a whole other topic.
We'll cover that on another episode.
Another episode, yes. Yeah.
So tell us more about pole and pleasure then. What typically does that look like? And maybe you can give us an example of, you know, say a transformative experience that either you've had or one of your clients has had around that particular topic.
So pole, what I love about pole is there's something about it that just triggers all of the limiting beliefs that one might have about like what they're really capable of, like just the presence of it alone, and the stigma, unfortunately, that's attached to it. It's like it brings up so much in one fell sweep in a person's body. Like, I'm not flexible enough, I don't like the way I look, and like all the ways that you would that you view your body, and the way that you're connected to your sensuality and how much you're supposed to be in your sensuality and your sexuality, all of that, it just starts coming through. It's hilarious to me, like every single time, just how quickly it just comes up the more time I spend with someone with the pole. And so the pole too, it's very much getting you to be so present in your body. Like if you're not aware of where your body's at, if you haven't developed that safety within yourself, that foundation, then you are risking injury, you are risking maybe even death, right? Like depending on what you're doing. So you need to be super focused and present. And of course, those skills, right, that you learn in pole, you can easily translate that to sex, to what is happening in the bedroom, right? Because it's all movement of energy. And so I found that pole was just a really great tool to help me get deeper into my soma, into my emotional body, into my physical body. And it just helped me to physically like learn how to wield those energies, whether it's up and down, whether it's side to side, like whatever, but it's just like, but it just really helped me to reclaim my aliveness. Essentially, you don't need this, like you don't need the pole, right, in order to find aliveness, right? But it's like there's just something about it that every time that I see people come and take a pole class, or like even a client of mine that I'm working with privately and they want to include pole in their work with me, it's like they just come alive. It's like, oh my gosh, like I just feel so sexy, I just feel so like on fire, I feel like I can do anything, like I feel unstoppable. It's like great. So then the pole is almost like a portal. It's like it's a tool, but then how do we get you to integrate that into the rest of your life, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if that really answered the question. I
Yeah,
just
it
went,
did. Yeah, it very much did. Like you say, it's a useful tool to get people to really open themselves up to, like you say, their bodily energy, their physical energy, their mental energy, their emotional energy, to experience that aliveness without actually, like you say, needing to be in a relationship necessarily with anybody else other than themselves.
yeah. I mean, that's where it all starts, right? Ancient wisdom.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
and I think, that's how we attract healthier relationships, isn't it? By having a healthy relationship with ourselves first and foremost.
Yeah. And of course, like with pole, it's like I'm all about the superhumans, like I have this dream of just like training like the next generation of erotic Jedi Knights. Like that's what I want. And the pole is just such a great, like, I mean, the strength that you gain, the flexibility that you can gain, the creativity that you can gain, it's like, and then just like the power, like just like you being with this pole and just waving around this like stable force is just incredible. Like there's so many different ways that you can go about expressing yourself on this apparatus, and it's just really, really wicked. So,
and would you say there's sort of any size or age restriction when it comes to learning and expressing on a pole?
no, kids can do it. I mean, kids already, like you see them on the playground, they're swinging around, they're climbing. I mean, like they have it. Kids have the aliveness piece down, and aliveness, that includes pleasure, that includes power, it includes play, passion. It has all that, and then we forget. That's what happens. So yeah, kids can do it. And then and we have a world champion who got that title when she was in her 60s. She didn't start, was 50. So, I mean, so that's the other thing too about like bringing out the limiting beliefs of, oh, I'm too old, or, oh, I'm too young, or, oh, I'm too plus sized, or I'm too skinny, or whatever. And it's just like, or I'm a man, or, and I'm just like, no. I mean, I will show you examples of people in the pole world who are exactly that experience. So you can't give me that excuse.
I've been actually pleasantly surprised when I've been watching a few TikToks, and there's been some quite big plus size women on there that have massively impressed me, with being able to do what they do using the pole.
Yeah. It's just a beautiful way of like engaging with your body in a way that like it's more of an empowerment piece. I feel the pole, it just adds to the empowered piece of like, oh my gosh, I did this, I created this, I had this limit that I had thought was there, and now I've surpassed it, I've moved through it. That's wild. It's just such a visceral way of showing you what you're capable of. My job, though, is to take that, like, okay, like it doesn't only stop in a pole class, right? It doesn't only stop in that environment. Like it gets to ripple through.
And that's the great thing about it, because I think a lot of us with societal conditioning have been brought up with, to feel a lot of body shame, haven't we?
Yeah. Yeah. It's criminal.
It is, because I feel so sad these days, especially when I see young girls feeling the need to change their bodies, by using filters and fillers, at quite young ages. I think it's quite shocking, really, rather than, the parents probably encouraging them to feel and be more confident about who they are naturally themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. And, the parents, I mean, all we can do is forgive, because they're doing best that they can, right? And the whole confidence piece, the way I like to think of confidence is, in the word itself, you have confide. And so it's basically you confiding in yourself, like the deepest, darkest bits of you are learning to become so intimate with, and so connected with, that it then radiates out as what someone would say is confidence.
Mm. And I think it doesn't matter what size, shape you are, what you look like, you know, it is about the energy you exude that's the attractive thing to somebody else, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, this is me. And if there's a desire to shape shift an aspect of my body, that's coming from a place of I just desire it. It's not from a place of, oh, something's broken about me, or I need to fix this about me, or society says it's wrong for me to have this, right? It's like, then you get to play with the filters, or like, you know, if you wanted to put tattoos on your body, or like plastic surgery, even, like, you know, it's like your body is your temple, it's your vessel. It's like, it's learning to really just appreciate what is here, to come to that place of acceptance. And then it's like, okay, like, what isn't really serving me? What's a desire of mine? Is there a desire to like shift something, you know? And then you can go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And 100% agree with that. You know, I just, as I say, feel sad when I look around today and see such media pressure, you know, and image pressure to be a certain size, to be a certain look, to be a certain weight. And young women, especially, being so impressionable, being, you know, almost scarred and affected by that to their detriment, whereby they don't feel they're enough.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's all etched in the body too. So that's why this is the source of all transformation. It's like, you got to get in here, you know, because it's not enough to just like think your way out of something, but it's like the feeling portion needs to also occur. So yeah, it's like, once you get into the body, then anything is possible.
So what have been the biggest transformations you've seen? You know, could you give us an example of somebody you've worked with who was this way before, actually experiencing this connection between pole and pleasure, and how they were post being introduced to that?
Let's see, pole and pleasure. Recently, most of my clients have just been in the pleasure space. It's been separate. So I'm feeling into like both. Okay, this is more along the lines of pole per se. It does tie a bit into the pleasure, but it's more along the lines of just like really embracing your body and just celebrating like what you're capable of. Like, I had someone, she's in her 50s, and she was like, you know, like, I'm really pulled to this, I'm really pulled to pole, but it's like, I don't know, like, I'm probably not going to really be doing much, you know, like, I can't really go upside down, I can't really like do all that stuff, so don't expect much of me. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I've heard this before, because I've also said stuff like that. And so then eventually it got to a point where, like, the more and more we were working, I would just ask her questions like, is that really true? Like what you're saying right now, like, is that really true? Like, what would happen? Just riddle me this. If you just saw what happens if you lifted your hips up, you know, like just a bit, just to see where you're at. She's like, okay, fine. You know, she's been doing all the conditioning stuff with me and all that. And she's like, fine, I'll see. This is the titration piece, right? Like, just baby steps. And so then she did. And then it's like her body went upside down.
Wow.
But it's like, you know, we've been putting in, like, you know, we've been building that foundation, right? And then also like catching every time she was saying something deprecating towards herself, or any time that she was like, oh, you know, blah, blah, oh, caught it. Okay, great. I'm going to breathe into it. I'm going to feel it as best as I can. And I'm going to keep going. And then eventually it was like, okay, what would happen? And then boom, the body was ready. And then she ended up going upside down. Now she's doing like side climbs. She's like doing shoulder mounts, which is like going upside down from your shoulder. So yeah, I mean, that was one human that just burst into my space right now. Like, it was mostly pole focused, but yeah.
Excellent. So how long does the prep work, like you say, the mental work as well as the physical work, take typically with, give her as an example, so, you know, a average woman in her 50s, how long did it take for her to be able to get to that point?
So with this particular human, it was like 5 months.
That's great. Fantastic.
Yeah, it varies. Like everybody is on their own journey, right? So it's more just about like taking it one moment at a time. And then that's where the pleasure piece comes in, right? Like melting into each moment that arises and celebrating what is there rather than focusing so much on like, I need to get to this thing. It's like, but it's the journey, right? It's that.
And as we sort of obviously teach clients, it's not about the destination or setting the goal. It is about embracing and enjoying the journey getting there, isn't it? Even if you never actually get there, at least you've enjoyed working towards it.
Right? Like your life is a masterpiece now because you chose to make it so. So, yeah.
Absolutely. So, Natalie, before we actually start to wrap things up, tell the audience what is your best contact information if people want to reach out to you.
So Instagram and Facebook, I am Natalie Kabenjian. So very easy to find there. And you can connect with me there on those platforms. Excellent.
So before we wrap things up, any more wise words of wisdom or things that you would like to share about the pole and pleasure topic that we've been on today?
You are worthy and deserving of pleasure. Doesn't matter where you come from, what your lived experience is, you are worthy and deserving of pleasure. It is your namesake. You get to feel so alive in your skin that the universe will have no choice but to bend to your will.
And I think sometimes we're afraid of our own power, aren't we, in that context?
Oh yeah. That's the main thing, really. I found, at least with the people I've worked with, be it in pole, be it in pleasure, it's like, that's the main thing of like, I'm scared of being in my bigness. And that's a big piece of what I help people with, really. It's like, you get to be the supernova.
Yeah, because we all want to make a difference, whether it's to ourselves or whether it's to, you know, other people's lives or other things within our world. You know, we all want to, I think, at our heart, make a difference. And it's all about, you know, not playing small and knowing that you are powerful. You just need to rediscover what that is, what that looks like.
Yes, Lynn, there you go. Snaps all around.
All right. So on that note, Natalie, I want to thank you so much for having a really inspired and interesting and so different conversation with me today. Thank you. Really, really been a pleasure.
Yes, such a pleasure. Thanks very much, Lynn.
Okay, so it just leaves me to say true love starts with opening our hearts. And until next time, goodbye for now.
Thanks for listening to the Hearts Entwined podcast. You can follow Lyn via the Facebook group Two Hearts Entwined, or search Lyn Smith, inspirational speaker, at LinkedIn, or email lyn@hearts-entwined.com. That's LYN@hearts-entwined.com. Remember, true love starts with opening our hearts.